You asked me a question a little bit ago. What was it again?
We're talking about the students, how they've changed over the years.
Well, I think they have, because I was there 46 years, 46 years at Columbus College of Art and Design. I mean, I went through, when we first started with just a couple of dozen students, that's all we had. But the couple of dozen students were rugged kids. See, most of them were out of the war. Some have been wounded, others were hurt mentally and etc. See, but they could take it. See, I was brought up in a way. I mean, for example, my father didn't ever ask me. Now, boys, I had two brothers and myself. He said, now you do a good job, in school. Come home with good report cards. Hell, he never said that. He expected it. That is, he expected good grades. And when we did have a C, you had to have, Lord, behold, if you ever had anything below a C, if you show him anything like that, he looks at you, he gives you a dirty look, and walks away. We knew what he meant. That was tough. Well, that's the kind of thing we started to teach. I was very young too, believe it or not. So we teaching these veterans, they were tough, but they were good. They were good workers, I used to load them with homework because if they needed it. If they were weak in drawing, I'd make them draw. I'll never forget it. In my drawing class one time, one boy who had a tough time in the Army, I forgot now, this is about 50-some years ago. No, that was not 50-some years, 45-some years ago, something like that. He said, teach me how to draw, And I said, well, I'll do my best. And I had a very good teacher in drawing. And I had certain facility in drawing myself, so I tried to take him along. And I made him see the structure of drawing, I made him work hard, Like the construction of a knee. One of the hardest things to draw is around drawing the neck. The neck, how it fits into the shoulder, I had that poor kid doing his saw-off. Now that I look back, I guess I was a little bit too tough. But the end, when he graduated, in those years, he graduated with a certificate in 3 years. He came up to me and he shook my hands and he said, thank you so much. And you beat the hell out of me, but you taught me how to draw. See? Now, you don't get that much anymore now, but it's not the kids' fault. I don't think it's the students' fault. I think it's the teachers gotten softer. Now, I'm not necessarily saying that the CCAD had gotten softer, although we had a president that happened to replace me, that his philosophy was make things easier. And I saw the roof right away and I heard that, make things easier. Couldn't he have said, the stupid ass, couldn't he have said, make things better? No, make things easier. And some of the weaker instructors started to make things easier. And I know Ms. Kinney and I, again, Mr. Scheinman at the time, asked us to write a paper, what we thought about what was going on the deal. And we handed in a 31 typewritten page critique of what was going on. And we brought that out, where the faults were. But it was not the student. I know it's a long-winded answer to your question, but it's not the student, it's the teacher. They had too much psychological worry about kids. The kids are wonderful. Tom, I was teaching, I said, in my experience, Maybe I said, maybe I'm all wrong, but in my experience, 46 some years of teaching, I've yet to see one student that ever got angry with me because I was tough with them when I was trying to make them better. Never. In the 60s, we didn't have one little stone thrown at us. We were happy, no problem. But we had trouble with an English teacher. See? And he was apparently we found out he was a lousy English teacher. You know, he had kids, I recall, we finally fired him. You know, because he had talking about English, you know, about holding hands in the classroom, you know. I don't know what the hell he did. Anyway, I fired him, and I wanted to check. I said, where does this guy, he had a good resume. I said, where did this guy come from? He came from California. So I called the head man in California in education. See, I told him who I was and who I was talking about. You know, the director of education in the state of California, he said, how'd you get him? They threw him out of the whole state of California. And we happened to get him because he had a good resume. See, it's the teachers from time to time. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes a lot of the colleges assume that. Too much, you know, catering to the poor kid. Had the kids want to be good, that's what I found out. They all want to be good. They all want to be successful. I yet to meet one kid that said, I don't want to be successful. He wouldn't go to that school anyway because at least we're known, and it still is, you know. It's a tough school, but it's good. That's what we wanted, a reputation. It's tough but good, see. So that's it. I don't think there's any difference at all in the student, but there's a hell of a lot of difference in the teachers. That's where you have to be careful. We're fortunate, while we're talking about teachers, especially, and I was going to talk about the 3rd and 4th year level today. We have excellent teachers. We really do. See, we still have most of them, you know, that we had a lot to do with hiring them, but they're very good. And I'm afraid they're going to be tough to replace. See, they don't have PhDs. A lot of them don't have masters, but they have know-how. They know how to do it. They know what to do to develop the practicing artist. See, to become a professional. You know, you say you want to, at least by the time you get through a college education, they can draw a little bit. Tom, 90% of them more, maybe 95% of the art college graduates can't draw worth a damn. That's the problem. Proof, I just tell you. About a dozen years ago, we got 2 gentlemen out of California came to see us. They were representative for Walt Disney. They came on to see, you know, saw Miss Kinney and me, and we were, you know, happy to see them. We were nice to them, and they looked around. They didn't see too much of the campus, you know. But we started to talk to them what our philosophy was. The more we talked, the more they said, the more they liked it. Then we took them over to the exhibition hall, student exhibition. They saw what we do, the proof. This is what we do and how we do it. Well, they fell in love with it. A couple of years ago, we got a note somewhere out of the Orlando, Walt Disney studio in Orlando. We had more graduates employed by Walt Disney than any other school in the country. And by the way, you know, we were doing all this while some of our bluebirds were trying to, you know, sail us down the river by merging us with Franklin and other stupid jerks. See, you gotta tell it the way it is. They were stupid jerks. And these are the trustees of the museum. You know, here we're doing this. Walt Disney, matter of fact, I said, well, why don't you go into Ohio State? They started to laugh. I didn't laugh, they did. They're not going to waste our time. Most universities were not visited by them because they saw the results of so much. So they had a list of colleges of art and design. Same way with Hallmark, see? And, yeah, we were tough, but only from the point of view of quality, see? The point of view of quality. See? And to give you an example, we were on the third year level. We were talking about color here, you know. You teach the kids. See, most colleges don't even teach color. They think, oh, they'll do it their way, you know. You know why they don't teach it? Because they don't know what the hell to say. They don't know it. We teach 3 years of it, the foundation year. We have it, bring it up in the second year level. On the third year level, we have probably one of the best courses in the world. I saw an example of one problem, almost looked one of ours out of an art school in Switzerland. So I said, it must be one of our graduates teaching there because it was too close to what we were doing, see. But to give you an idea, you know, we just didn't say, you know, paint. No, I said, here's one color. What can you do with it? Vary it. Watch it. Like you said, take blue. You know, make it green, make it grayer and grayer and grayer, and bluer and bluer and bluer. Put them together. Look at the variety you can get with one color. See, that's one problem. The kids had to do that with stripes, and they see it. See, they had to see it. They comprehend, they respond. That's what we teach it. Then in the second problem, it goes on to complementary colors. See, like red against green. See, you know, how can you make them work at best? You know, you can use black and white if you want to. You start using black and white, red against green. Now they realized that they had to dominate in one or the other. In anything, in art and aesthetic, just like music. In music, you know, you wanna create a song, you gotta dominate with a melody. And you gotta hear the melody, you know, how it permeates through the entire song. It's the same way with color. See, when you work with color, with say redness against greenness, you have to, you know, dominate. What do you want? What kind of dominance do you want? Greenness dominant? More of, thereof, redness, you know. See, then beyond that, you know, the next, you know, here's a triad of color. A triad, you know, we use 3 different colors. There, the dominant factor becomes more important now. Use black and white, triadic. Watch them work. Watch the weight of one against another. See how they feel together. See, if they break apart, it's remember the difference between a flag and a painting. A flag, you normally use contrasting chroma because it has to be seen by distance and recognition. But in a painting, you know, you can use gray reds, gray greens, gray blues, soft feelings, see, responsive. And just like music, see, minor keys, you know, the melodic character. See, and you go on with more variety of color. Then you teach the kids, you say, now look, color has space. See, color has space. What kind of space? How does it work? You give them problems to work with space in color. See, there for a long time. I remember one instructor that wasn't too good in teaching color. He was teaching kids He says, black recedes all, always. Black recedes. White advances, always. They should never say that. They try to get Gainsborough, not to paint the blue boy, because they say you can't paint a portrait or a painting with blues. Gainsborough did it. See, you can always say that. You have to be careful. That's the kind of subtlety, But this is part, this is what I want to do today anyway, to give you a feeling of the third year level. You see, yet somehow, with all of this, see, most schools don't even, they shrug their shoulders at it. They don't know it, except for a few schools like University of Yale, because of Joseph Albers, introduced a certain amount of recognition of color, but he does it more from an academic point of view. We do it in both the academic approach and the implementation. Work with it, watch it, watch it work, see how it responds. See. And so it goes, and then you develop. Then you say, all of a sudden, you say, here, paint me a picture with grays. I'll never forget it one day, and then you see these kids in third year level, they do these things at home. They bring them in, and then for a call upon, they have to go up in front of the class and talk about it. And the instructor sits about, like I used to sit like this, about 5 or 6 feet away. And some of the kids used to get nervous, but I used to make them laugh, relax them. But they got nervous anyway. See. I remember this one boy talking about the dominance of grays. And that wasn't enough. I said, wait a minute, what kind of gray? What are you dominating? He didn't know. I said, this one boy said, is it the cool grays that you're dominating in, or the warm grays? There's a difference, And most people don't even realize there's a difference in the grays. See, we had to awake a company out in New York State somewhere to remake the gray papers, both in cool grays and warm grays. Somehow they stopped making them because not enough schools were calling for them. But we called for them, and they made them for us. Anyway, the gray painting, this one student went up. He had a little gray accent. They were supposed to use an accent with the dominance of grays, the cool or warm dominance. These are words of the students. He said, and look, this is my accent. See, well, when I painted the accent, it was really a gray. See? But when I put it up against the painting, it was a red. See, by contrast, there was enough variety difference in a little accent to the red began to, come out by contrast of the dominance. See, in that case, I think it was a cool dominance. See? But that's the kind of stuff they had to talk about. And it goes on and on to the final problem. It's really tough. We say, we give them an extra week to do the homework. That's about this big. I have an example downstairs, but I forgot to bring it up.